David, I want to let me set the scene for you. So there's an hour window between you finishing work and before you have to do whatever it is that you do as a bachelor in the evening. Maybe it's playing more games, I don't know. But you've got an hour free where you don't need to, but you just want to relax, take a load off. You want to play some games. And then you boot up the PlayStation 5 and you're looking at your collection of games. And first of all, you're like, man, I don't know what I want to play. And then you try playing, you select one game, Roblox, and you're just like, all right, I'm going to boot this up for a bit. But then like for 5 minutes, you're just like, you know what? I'm not really feeling this. I might actually play another game. And then you're going through this decision paralysis and just rinse and repeat, and then you find that hour that you put aside for just relaxing and playing a game, it's gone. You're never going to get that hour back. You've wasted that time.
Yeah.
And have you ever experienced that?
Yeah, no, not at all. You're weird. No.
Are you kidding me? No. Are you kidding me?
I have definitely experienced that.
Yeah,
many times.
Thank God it's not just me.
Yeah, it's not just you. Many times throughout, I think in my late to early 30s now, where it's just you finish work or you've just come and from the shops or you've done something, big adult duties, and you're like, I got an hour before I have to do X, Y, and Z or cook dinner or go see some friends. I just want to chill out, turn on my PC or my console and play a video game, and you're just like, I don't know what to play. Or you pick a game like, I'm not really feeling this, so I'm gonna pick another game, and then you just sit there and you're like, what am I doing? I have all these games, but I just don't have the energy to play them. And you just can't make a choice. So you just sit there and you realize, I just wasted 30 minutes trying to pick a game. No point in me trying to pick one now. And then you just don't play a video game. And it's the same cycle that I keep experiencing over and over. And it's so frustrating. Especially when I think about when I was like 16, like 15, 16, 17. I could play video games for like 12 hours.
Yeah, it makes me wonder, dude. It makes me wonder, so like back when we were 16, is it easier for us to... Maybe we were like really hyper focused and tunnel visioned on like one game at a time kind of thing. And also like back then all of our games were like in a disc and you didn't have to like install them or download them from the internet or whatever. And we didn't have a massive catalog of like 100+ games that we could just download that we haven't played before, but we've been kind of curious about them. Like, we probably only have like a couple of discs on us at a time, and oh cool, got some free time. I am just beelining it to like Modern Warfare 3, and I'm just going to be playing that for hours and hours and hours, and I'm going to be totally happy with that.
I'm just going to be in my underwear while I'm doing it too. Take me back. Take me back to when I could do that.
Yeah, that's an important note.
It's a weird phenomenon. I don't know if we're just seeing it more now.
A weird phenomenal.
Phenomenon. Oh my god.
Phenomena.
Yeah. Sorry, I just had a massive brain fart. Is it because we're oversaturated with so many games, or is it just because we've gotten older and we just don't have the energy and time to do it?
I've been wondering that. So I feel like I've been doing it for a few years now. So I think it's a combination of a couple of different things. If I were to try and diagnose this issue, as we get older and as we work more, and let's face it, we get more and more tired, we still want to play and enjoy games as much as we want to, as we used to. But it's just harder to... Okay, like I'll give an example. So recently, a couple of weeks ago, and I've talked about this on the pod, I started playing Horizon Zero Dawn, and I really love it. I've been really enjoying that time, but I've found over the past maybe week and a half, I've had basically no time to play anything. And because I know that game is a bit of a commitment, and technically I can pick it up for like an hour and play it, sure, but it doesn't feel like a game that you can just jump into for like an hour at a time. It feels like a game that's meant to be played for hours in each session, and I feel like there's a bit of a barrier there. So I just instantly go, all right, well, I've probably got something else that I can just chip away at, or something I don't need to have that commitment. Like there's so much ease of access, either if you own a massive catalog of games, but because by the time you reach our age, you've probably bought a metric fuck ton of games over the years. But then also on top of that, because we have such easy access to like Game Pass, PS Plus, it's way too easy to just be like, you know what, I really want to play Cyberpunk 2077 because I haven't before, and that looks appealing to me, and I've just got a bit of a hankering for it, you know.
Mm.
So you just download a brand new game, and you just sit there. You're just waiting for it to download, and you're just on your phone.
You start
You
doom
end up just wasting
scrolling.
that time, yeah, and then you end up, it ends up being downloaded, and you're like, man, I'm kind of tired now, though. I'm probably just gonna
Yes.
go to bed. And it's
Yes.
just, I think that because there's too many options, I feel very strongly about this with movies where, because there's too many options, there's less intention to play something. And, when it comes to movies, because of streaming services, because of Netflix, because of all that, it's basically killed a lot of desire to go to the theater or the cinema, because to go to the cinema was something fun that you did with your family and friends or whatever, and it was like an event. It was something that you just do, and it was just the accepted thing. But as soon as movies are coming out basically 1 month after being in the movies now, it's
Yeah.
like, well, what's the point in going? I can just wait, and then I can just watch it on my streaming service. Even if you do have to like rent it out, because it becomes accessible digital basically tomorrow, there's just no incentive to watch that shit at the movies. And I feel that way about gaming, and in a sense, gaming feels less intentional now because we can just get everything day one on Game Pass basically.
Yeah.
Or and it makes it so much harder to commit because there's no stakes, there's no real investment, I would say, like, because it sounds bad, but I think part of it is like, because you're not slapping down the money on the game, you don't really care if you download it and then just don't play it, because you're like, oh well, it didn't cost me anything, even though it is costing you a subscription. But you know what I mean? Like, I think that there's all those different
agree.
elements.
So you're not investing your money into it, and
Yeah.
so it doesn't give you an incentive to. I spent like $60 in this game. It doesn't give you an incentive
It's
to
like, I've got to get my
download
money's
and play
worth.
it. Yeah, to get my
Yeah.
money's worth, which is really interesting because I think gaming is at its best right now because it evolves over time, and I think that we're going to keep seeing it to evolve to a point where it's going to be even better. It's going to be interesting to see if this fatigue is still going to be there, because I have a massive backlog of games that I want to play right now, but I just don't have the effort or time to sink that many hours into it. And I always
Yeah.
find myself going back to the games that are like my comfort games.
Yeah, same here.
Yeah, so an example, Cyberpunk or The Witcher 3, massive, beautiful, story in-depth games. Baldur's Gate 3, people consider to be one of like the best games of all time. Beautiful
played
design
it.
games. And I just play an hour of it, or maybe play like 20 minutes, and then I just find myself going like, I don't have the energy for this. I can't really get into it, or it requires too much of me like focusing to play it right now. I need something that just numbs my
Yeah.
brain. An example I can think of is, which we'll discuss, we're gonna obviously talk about games that we played this week, is Gears of War Reloaded. It came out on PS5 and PC and the Series X, and I played that non-stop since it's been released. I cannot get enough of it. But
Yeah.
to me, putting in those hours for that game, because I'm playing multiplayer, it doesn't feel like I'm using energy or effort compared to Cyberpunk 2077 or The Witcher 3, games like that. So I always find myself going back to those comfort games, which is bizarre in a way.
Sure.
And you say for yourself, you're saying that you go back to your comfort games as well.
Yeah, so okay, so I do. I've noticed two trends in myself, and then I'm
Yeah.
going to go back and ask you a question based on something
Yeah.
you just said before. So I agree with you 100%. I go back to like the old familiars, because
Yeah.
I think it's a sense of like, I already know what to expect, and it's like, if I indulge in going down this like walk down memory lane, I know for a fact that like what I'm going to experience over the next hour or a couple of hours or whatever, it's like, oh, okay, like I kind of have an idea of what's going on, but I haven't played this for like a decade, so it still feels kind of new to me. And it's also like probably a cheaper way to play as well. So one thing I'd really like to do, for example, is I'd love to play through the Assassin's Creed series, and I realized that most of those games are on PS Plus. So
Right.
for the most part, I can just go back through and just download them. It's of no cost to me, and I've already played them before, and it's like familiar, and it reminds me of a time when I probably did the most gaming in my life, and it was just like it was just really comforting and really fun, and I just really enjoyed it. The other thing that I noticed myself doing, which is maybe this might be unusual behavior. I don't know. But I also tend to find myself browsing. This is not a flex, by the way. Uh, browsing the PS Plus store or the PlayStation store because my main console is the PS5, and
Makes
I
sense,
just
okay.
look through the deals, and then I'm like, oh man, this game that I've always wanted to play is on special, and it's a really good deal. It's like 50% off or something like that. I should get it now while it's on special, and I'll get around to playing it at some point. Like this will be great, but I'm buying it because it's on special, not because I really want to play it. And so I find that it clogs up my downloaded games,
Good
and
old Steam sales.
I never get around to it.
Mm.
So I'm really guilty of doing that. Or like
Um,
it's like, oh, I'll pay like $20 now on this game that's usually like, actually I pretty much did that with Red Dead. Like I downloaded Red Dead,
yeah.
the Ultimate Edition or whatever it was. It was like 30 Australian dollars for absolutely everything. It was like this really crazy deal. And I was like, oh, finally. I didn't buy it because I was like had an itch or an urge to play it. I just bought it
Mm.
because I was like, oh man, this is on special. It's a no-brainer. I should just buy it. And then I
Mm.
bought it, and then I tried getting into it, but I just, because I think I bought it with the wrong mindset or when I wasn't ready to play it, if that makes sense, I
Yeah.
didn't give it the time that it deserved. And I'll be
Yeah.
honest, I actually uninstalled it like 2 days ago, so that way I can make
Wow.
room for other games that I'll
Borderlands.
inevitably not play. Let's face it,
Yeah.
but you know,
And
but
that's like
yeah,
that's the effect of the Steam sales as well. When the summer sales and the winter sales happen, you see these massive discounts on these indie games and games
mm,
that you've been waiting for sales, and you're like, you know what? I could buy 5 games for the price of one full AAA game, and you spend your money, and you're like, I want to get around to it, and then you realize that you just added more games to your Steam library to your backlog that you're just never going to get around
yeah.
to because you're not going to be in the right mindset or have the energy to do it. Which it's a never ending cycle because you think like, you know what? I'm not gonna do it next time. I'm not gonna buy another game. I'm gonna clear out my backlog, and then another sale happens, and you're like, oh, actually, I'm gonna
Actually,
buy
this is
myself.
calling to me.
Oh, this is calling to me. Is that 75% off there you got on that game right there? Yeah, you got yourself a deal. You got that deal.
I think one thing that I'm really curious about is, gosh, and you said something before that was really interesting, and I wanted to ask you more about it. Actually, that's right. That's what it was. So, you said before that you think that like right now is the best time in gaming, but we're also talking about like fatigue,
Mm,
basically.
mm.
So, do you think that if now is the best time in gaming, that you should be feeling fatigue? Like, do you remember a time where you weren't feeling so much fatigue when it comes to trying to pick a game or playing a game or,
Yeah.
whatever?
Look, really great question. To be honest, like the one time I can think about it is when I was a teenager in the old
Mm.
Xbox 360 era, where like Halo Reach was around, Gears 3 was around, was Call of Duty was around, and it was such simpler times back then when it came to obviously life, no responsibilities, and gaming in general.
Mm.
However, if I were to go, I would love to go back to that time, but I still think there would probably have been issues back then that maybe we just don't remember because of those rose-tinted glasses that we have when we think about it
S-
or when we look
So,
back on it.
so do you think like no matter what stage of gaming we're in, it's likely that we're always going to find, if the issue, let's just say, magically gets resolved of
Yeah,
gaming fatigue or whatever, or
yeah,
indecision of what game to play, if that went away, there'd probably be another problem that will rise up and take its place.
potentially, yeah, yeah,
Okay.
yeah. I think so. I hope I'm wrong. I really hope I am wrong because I'm a gamer and I love to game. But when it comes to like the big issue of game art, for me personally, it is the fatigue that I do feel, and it is hard to try and get over that fatigue and
Mm.
really like sink your teeth in a game that you've always wanted to sink your teeth into.
Yeah. No, I agree.
Yeah,
I think that's also kind of why I really wanted to start Heaps Good, is so that
yeah,
way eventually we can get to a point where we're basically just like paying ourselves to be able to play
yeah,
games more.
yeah.
I think that's ultimately the goal, is just to play more games with my friends. So
Friends,
hopefully we can get there.
hopefully we can get there.
The other
So
question I had for you, and I
yeah,
think we'll probably start closing it out. One thing I'm curious about is if these same issues that we're talking about right now, is this an issue that, say, maybe Gen Z or Gen Alpha or whatever the fuck, like, would they have that same issue of the decision
Game
fatigue for what to play? One of the discussions that we had semi recently, I think 2 weeks ago, was talking about how Gen Z isn't really buying as many games anymore.
Yeah.
So it's like, are they having more targeted or specific experiences? Like, you know, we joke about it before, but, you know, in Roblox or whatever, where they have mini games within Roblox or however the fuck that thing works. And it's like they're playing what they can afford, which is, you know, increasingly becoming less and less. So does that mean that they might not have the same decision fatigue because do they have less access to maybe as many games? Or I guess there is, you know, obviously your Game Pass and your PS Plus, and maybe they do still feel that as well. But I'm curious if it's like, is this just like an us thing? Is this just like an our age thing? I'm sure that people older than us probably feel it too. But is it an age thing? Is it a money thing? Is it? Yeah.
And it's a really interesting question you pose. I think that older millennials, or what's generation before?
Gen X.
Gen X, who are gamers, I definitely like to think that they have that same fatigue that we do. Maybe they don't. Maybe they're over that hump now, where they they can just focus on one game at a time. But for the younger generation, the Zoomers or the Gen Zs, it's a really interesting question to pose, and I wish we had someone that we could just call up right now and be like, "Hey, do you experience this?" You would know some Gen Zs because you play Roblox all the time.
Fuck you! I was gonna make a joke, but I was.
I beat you to it.
You beat me to it. I was gonna say something, but I was just like, you know what? I'm not gonna feed this beast. Yeah. I'm not gonna feed into this beast.
I'll do it. Look at me, Shane. Look at me,
Carl. Anyway, so I guess
it's a great question to ask them, and if we have any viewers who are either side of the spectrum or in the same generation as us, definitely please feel free to tell us.
If one of our two listeners happens to be Gen Z or lower or whatever the fuck, which based on this podcast statistics, it's not the case at all. And so, like, you know, if you have any opinions on this and you want to weigh in, let us know. I guess that there are technically some strategies or something, like, you know, you could curate your options. You know, it's the whole, like, intentionally limiting your access to, you know, it's kind of like the whole idea or mentality behind, like, how you treat your phone. Like, oh, I'm going to reduce my screen time or whatever.
Yeah.
You could also kind of do that with minimizing your gaming footprint by, like, okay, I only have, like, 2 or 3 games at most installed at a time. You know, whatever technique, I guess, you can use. I don't think this is, like, one of those fucking chronic issues or whatever. I think it's more just the fact that it's not even necessarily a problem. It's more just a behavior that I'm noticing in myself, and I'm sure that a lot of other people can probably empathize with it as well. And I'm just curious about which way the trend will go from here. What could that look like in 5 years' time? Is it going to get worse? I'm sure it will. As we get more and more options and accessibility just gets even more accessible. I don't know. I guess accessible. Yeah. But yeah, look, if you have any thoughts, if you're watching this or listening to this on the podcast or watching this on video, leave a comment, let us know. I'm really curious to hear other people's thoughts. But I think I'll leave it there unless you had any closing thoughts, David.
No, as I can say, it's going to be really interesting to see what happens with the trend in the next 5 years, and maybe, hopefully, Heaps Good is taken off and we can revisit it in the next 5 years. And
absolutely.
Then we can talk to ourselves and listen to our younger selves, be like, remember gaming?
How fucking naive we were. How naive we were that we were resisting the urge to play Roblox, where eventually the world is going to succumb to being plugged into VR Roblox 24/7. Trying to mine for currency so that way we can feed our fucking bodies. Anyway.
Jesus Christ. That went dark.
Hey, would you look at that? You've made it through the entirety of this episode. Congratulations. This video is just one section of our weekly gaming podcast called Last Week in Gaming Today. If you're interested in checking out the full episode or more discussions like the one you've just watched, I'll leave a link to the podcast in the description and comment section below.